NIMBYs are losing nationwide, guys,
Oh.
because we are seeing a new dynamic
Yep.
for the first time where housing production is through the roof. We are producing this year in 2023, 900 or 2022, whatever it is, whatever this data is from,
Yeah.
almost 1 million new units of housing. This is the highest since the peak in 1972. This is fantastic news. We started off this podcast talking about the problems with housing, the lack of production, the issues with zoning laws, and we're now seeing finally the American economy go in the right direction and building more housing. And this is already affecting rents. Overall, year over year, asking rents rose 1.1% as of June 30th, down from 2.8% in March. That's awesome. And one of the main sticking points of the Federal Reserve in their CPI reports was the stickiness of rent. And seeing that rent is now slowing is really fantastic news. The biggest reason for the slowdown, according to CoStar, is the nearly 1 million new apartment units, an all-time high, that are under construction around the country. Of those, 520,000 are expected to hit the market this year, with another 460,000 to follow in 2024. So I think we're about to see a massive decrease in the cost of rent nationwide, because this influx of new units is really going to change the market, and it's going to be really awesome.
Yeah, I think so too. It's still going to be a really interesting local issue, right? We live in probably the third or fourth most expensive metro in the country, in the Boston area right now, and we have a perfect example of legislation that's been encouraging new housing, which is the MBTA Communities Act, which basically says any town that is on our local public transportation lines have to zone for multifamily housing adjacent to that transportation. And I think similar laws are going up all over the place. I'm hoping that in places like New York, but honestly much more so Los Angeles and San Francisco, where homelessness is by far the worst in the country, that they can do a similarly good job of getting new housing up.
Yeah, so we can see now where rent increases are coming to a standstill in the most. The areas that are benefiting the most right now is the Sun Belt. So Las Vegas, Austin, Nashville, these prices are dropping 1 to 3%. They're not going up by 1 or 3%, and we're happy with the slow rate of growth. They're actually going down.
I'm not surprised by this.
And the Sun Belt is now seeing 50% of their rents go down. 50% of apartments in the Sun Belt region have seen decreasing rents from 2022 to 2023. The rest of the United States is 15%. So the Sun Belt is really pushing this national average.
Yeah, that's what I would expect. And I would think there's a lot behind that. People are moving away from the California metros, right?
The Boston Metro,
probably New York as well. I don't have the data on that in my head. For these places, I don't entirely know why. I mean, I know that cost of living is a part of it. It might be the main thing. People can move where they want because of more abilities for remote work at the moment. But when a developer sees that, they're like, okay, this area is going to grow, right? So I can afford to build an apartment building here and have a little bit lower rent. And I trust that this long-term investment is going to pay off.
Yeah.
Places like San Francisco, Los Angeles, Boston, New York, you're not going to have that sentiment as much. And this is part of the controversy of rent control, right? Like when developers see rent control, they not only lament the fact that they won't be able to raise rent as much, but they also think that even more might be coming, right? And it scares them from investing for the long term.
Definitely. But I'm really happy to see the increase in production. That's the best thing we needed to see.
Totally.